In this video, I'll be answering a question that was submitted by a subscriber to my YouTube channel. It's been a minute since I have done a Q&A video, so I'm really looking forward to this one. My name is Michelle, and as you know, I use this channel to help educate and inform primarily Alabama commissioned notaries, but I've been pleased to find out that there are notaries from other states who benefit from some of the videos. So, welcome to all of you. I don't get a lot of questions on my videos. In fact, I wish more of you would leave questions for me. I really enjoy it. It's content, video content that does not take a lot of time for me to research and answer. Usually the questions are more of, can you elaborate on this, Michelle, instead of asking me to cover a totally different topic. So the question that we're going to look at and answer in this video comes from a video that I recorded last month, I believe. It was part 3 of a series on the Alabama marriage certificate. So let's go ahead and take a look. The question that was asked by a YouTube subscriber was, can we video record the process to protect us as the notary? Now, to provide you with a little more context, again, the question was typed below the Alabama marriage certificate video. And in that video, I stressed or emphasized the importance of the Alabama marriage certificate. Now, I know all documents are important, but I do believe some are a little more important than others. The Alabama marriage certificate falls under the category of being a vital statistic document, emphasis on the word vital. And to provide a little more context, I believe this YouTube subscriber was focusing on my comments about how accurate the notarization needs to be because a mistake could prevent that document from being recorded at the probate office, which could affect the couple's marriage date. In that video, I go on to talk about liability, how mistakes could lead to a lawsuit or even just a request by the couple to help restore them if they lost money due to a notary's mistake. And so I can see why the YouTube subscribers like, hey, if it's really that deep, how about the notary recording the notarization process so that if at a later date there's some discrepancy about who did what, the notary would have the video recording as evidence. Whenever I am asked a question about the notarization process, I make it a point to, instead of just throwing out an answer that I think is right, I make myself reflect and think about what our state laws say about the question or about the subject. And there's not a lot in our state laws about recording the actual notarization process. And when I say state laws, really for this one, I want to mention not only state laws or state government, but also local laws or local government. What entities, what do they have to say about recording a notarization? And as some of you can probably imagine, the law is fairly silent, with the exception of remote notarization. And I am confident that the notary asking this question was not referring to remote notarization, but in person, face to face notarization. So that's the first thing. And in Alabama and most states, the role of a notary is considered ministerial. Not so much that it's tied to religion, but that we are appointed by state government, and the government, state government, tells us what we can and cannot do. I think that's really important for us to remember. We shouldn't get too creative with how we go about those duties. We've got to be very careful about that, and as much as possible, stay very close to what the laws tell us to do. And so if we consider Alabama's notary laws, again, there is nothing in the laws that addresses video recording and in-person notarization. Now, some could argue, well, then that's good. We can do what we want to do. Not so fast. To me, and me personally, that is a indication to me that it's probably not the best idea, but let's keep going. If we consult Alabama's Notary Public Training course, again, nothing's in there other than remote notarization. And so, again, doesn't apply here. Because the Alabama Marriage Certificate is a vital statistic document, it falls under the jurisdiction of the Alabama Department of Public Health. And on their website, they have excellent instructions about how to complete the form, what the notary role is, what the couple's role is. There's nothing in there, no guidance about video recording. Now, the last bullet, really, I leave to you, the notary, and in this case, the notary who asked the question. It would not hurt if you feel strongly about video recording a notarization. It would not hurt for you to reach out to your county's office of probate and have the judge of probate give you guidance on that. But at least you know there is nothing in our state laws, nothing on the Alabama Department of Public Health's website that gives us the permission or their permission or the authority to videotape an in-person notarization. Here are some things that I'd like for you to consider, still sticking with what's the harm of video recording it, so that again, if the signer says, I did do something or didn't do something, there's evidence to support what actually happened. Whenever we record someone else, it is best that we get their permission. And so, most definitely at the signing table, I think that it would be wise to ask permission before recording. Now, granted, the state of Alabama is a one-party state. And so when you are interacting with another person and recording that conversation or that event, the way I understand Alabama laws is that all it takes is one person to know that the conversation, the interaction is being recorded. So that's that. But still, I think the fact that we are acting as a notary public in this transaction kind of changes things just a bit. Now, if you are watching this from another state, if you're commissioned in one of the other states, you may be in a two-party state. And in two-party states, the law clearly says you must get permission. Both parties have to be okay with the recording. One party state, only one individual. But keep in mind, as notaries, we could be in someone's home, and to be in someone's private residence recording and picking up other things, photographs of family members and other personal identifiable information would be totally out of line, even when considering the document itself. The Alabama marriage certificate contains so much personal information. I would be afraid that the recording would capture some of that information. And now we're going into a whole nother area of keeping information confidential. A question that used to come up a lot when I was doing classroom in-person notary training would be, can the students would say, Michelle, can I keep a photocopy of the document that I've notarized for my records so that if the signer alters it at a later date, I can pull out my copy and say, here, this is how it looked, the form looked when it left me. I strongly discourage keeping photocopies of documents that you notarize for the same reason. Once something like this, whether it's a photocopy of a document, a video recording, or audio recording of a notarization, it becomes you, the notary's responsibility to keep that information secure. And while it might seem easy or a small thing for you to say, oh yeah, it'll be secure, nowadays, that's very hard to do. And then how long do you keep it? How do you destroy it, especially those paper documents? Are you shredding? What if there is a break-in, theft, and someone else's personal information gets shared? Again, that comes back on you. The other consideration I'd like for you to think about is, when would you decide to record a notarization? Are you thinking you'll do it for every notarization or just certain notarizations that you deem worthy? And how biased or unbiased are you in making that decision? Would it be the notarization of an Alabama marriage certificate when the signers speak a language that you're not familiar with? And so they go in and out from speaking English to you to another language amongst themselves, and now you're wondering what's really being shared? Is it really, when is it? And could that discrepancy lead to a signer feeling discriminated against and asking, do you normally do this? Why are you asking to record it? Do you doubt what I'm telling you? I don't understand. Now you've opened up another can of worms. And again, I don't see anything wrong with the question. I don't. If I did, I probably wouldn't be doing a video on it. I think it's a really good question. The other consideration is that cameras don't lie. Now, sometimes what they capture, the images that cameras capture, can be interpreted in different ways, but a camera is going to snap what's in front of it. So again, we go back to what's in front of that camera lens. Can you make sure that anything personally identifiable, private, confidential isn't in front of the lens? And if it is, now you've got to take it home and edit it and save it and all. But more importantly, the reason why I say cameras don't lie, what if you were caught in the video saying or doing something that is incorrect? And now you're on the hot seat. And so far, I don't see any strong support or argument for video recording and in-person notarization. I'm not saying that there would never be an instance where it may or may not be warranted, but I can't think of one right now. So what should you do in certain situations where, especially for, again, the Alabama marriage certificate, because that's where this stemmed from? One, I would say perfect your verbal ceremonies. The notarization process, whether it's in person or remote, requires you, the notary, to ask certain questions, clarify certain things, say certain things, and not all notaries know this fact, and many fail to do it. All right? And so when I talk about verbal ceremonies, this is what I mean. There are some documents, the Alabama marriage certificate is one of them, that requires the notary to administer an oath. And on the marriage certificate, it's the oath by way of an affirmation. And so, since that is a requirement, not only for the couple that's getting married, but if the couple that's getting married are minors, even the parents giving permission are required to take an oath stating that for the parents, that they are the parents of the minors and they are giving permission. And then the couple that's getting married, they are taking an oath that the information on the document is correct. And believe it or not, if you, the notary, remember to administer the oath, that is protection for you. The other thing, the other example of the verbal ceremony is that it's our responsibility to make sure the signers have complete understanding of the outcome or the result of their signing that document. So, how do you do that? No, you don't give them a test, you don't quiz them on it. You ask them some open-ended questions or a direct question. I like the open-ended. Can you tell me a little bit more about this document? What are you hoping to accomplish by it? More importantly, for the Alabama marriage certificate, I add in there, do you understand that after signing this form and I notarize it and it gets processed or filed by the Alabama Judge of Probate's office, you're considered married to one another. You do realize that. And I do that because there are still Alabama residents who are unclear on the new Alabama notary laws. They think meeting with me, they're applying for their marriage license, not that they are getting married. And so the second verbal ceremony I want to remind you of is your obligation to make sure the couple and the parents, if applicable, fully understand what happens next. And if they don't, you should not move forward with the notarization. And then finally, the other verbal ceremony that you need to conduct is making sure that all signers are signing voluntarily, that no one at the signing table, in another room, at another location, on the phone, is forcing them to do this. I've shared, I may get in trouble for this, but more than once I have asked family members who I felt were dominating the conversation, taking over, not giving the other signers time to respond to my questions and verbal ceremonies, to speak. I've asked those talkative ones to leave the room, to just step out in the hallway so that I can really get an answer from the signer and ascertain if they fully understand the outcome, what the purpose of the document, and that I can ascertain that they are signing of their own free will. So that's what I mean about verbal ceremonies. The other recommendation I have is that you, the notary, observe not only what the signers say to you, but also how they say it. So both verbal and nonverbal body language. Okay. It's one thing to say, yes, I'm signing voluntarily. But what is my nonverbal saying? I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I may even be rehearsing this. And so, um, if you haven't done any research on nonverbal body language, it wouldn't hurt for you to do so. But there are a number of signals that could say to you, something seems a little off. Um, are the couple that's being married, are they even speaking to one another? Um, but on the other hand, as notaries, we deal with people from different cultures. And perhaps the couple getting married are not supposed to have a lot of conversation prior to the marriage. So there's a lot at play, which means that shouldn't scare you, intimidate you. That just should say to you to ask questions. You're not limited to the 3 or 4 that I had on the previous slide. Ask questions if you're unsure. And the nonverbal body language does not only apply to the signers. Again, if they are minors and I see the parents acting a certain way, uncooperative, easy to anger, I'm going to want to talk with them. What's going on? What's really going on? Are you okay with this? Are you sure you're giving your permission? And again, if you pick up, well, to be honest, I really don't want to, but my daughter or son said if we don't sign, they're going to run away or worse, then that's a problem and is probably going to lead to me not moving forward. I would need a little more information, but we have the right to ask questions and then we will need to make a decision. The next recommendation that I have is that you, the notary, control the pace of the notarization. If the signers and the family members are rushing you, that's a red flag to me. Granted, they may be in a hurry trying to get to the probate office, but I find when I rush, when I hurry, that's when mistakes are made. And unfortunately, I believe I covered this in another video. That is when a couple, it wasn't for the Alabama marriage certificate, but a couple came to my notary office and presented fake ID for one of the signers, and I didn't catch it. Um, I was distracted. And so set a slow, steady pace, limit your chit chat, so that you can do a thorough job. And not only a thorough job, you can make sure that you are not making any mistakes on the document, whether it's the Alabama marriage certificate or any document. I got a couple more recommendations for you before I close out this video. So I've told you, I think that I am against recording an in-person notarization. The other reason why I'm against it is that I'm of the opinion that if you utilize the notary journal in the manner it's intended to be used, that is far better than a video recording. Far better, because now you won't have to explain to authorities or anyone else why you felt it was okay to video record an in-person notarization. Now, granted, in Alabama, our notary laws do not require us to keep a notary journal. We know that. And unfortunately, many Alabama notaries take advantage of that and don't keep a journal. But I do. All of the students who come through my training and mentoring, I encourage them to. But that notary journal, if you fill in each of these sections, including the type of ID that was presented, including the signature of the signers, and most importantly, filling in the section that allows you to make notes. Where did you meet the signers? How are they acting? And even if you decline to notarize, you will record what happened that led you to refuse to notarize. That notary journal does so much good on behalf of not only the notary, but also well-intended signers when in the court of law. Last week, I attended the 2025 National Notary Association annual conference in Henderson, Las Vegas. I had to think for a moment there. And one of the workshops dealt with notary liability, and the journal was mentioned. The NNA invited a representative from Merchants Bonding who sells an insurance company that sells notary liability insurance. And the representative stressed the importance of that notary journal and how that's almost like a get out of jail free card for notaries. And it's not a perfect description, but it helps notaries. So if you aren't keeping a legible, detailed journal, I want you to start doing so today. And then finally, keep in mind when there are too many yellow flags and any red flags at the signing table, you do have the right to refuse to notarize. You just need a valid reason for doing so. I think that you would benefit from taking a look at these 3 videos that are here on the same YouTube channel. One, I just talked about having the right to refuse to notarize. And so the video is called When Should Notaries Refuse to Notarize? I think you'll find some helpful information in there in that video. The other 2 videos I'd like for you to consider watching come from a series that I did called Just the Basics. Step 4 video is called You Said What? It goes into more detail about the different verbal ceremonies that you should engage in at the signing table with the signers. And step 5 of Just the Basics is called Write This Down, and it goes into the notary journal, excuse me, what to write, what not to write. So check those 3 videos out. So we're back to the beginning. Can we video record the process, the notarization process, to protect us as the notary? I guess you could, but I hope you'll agree now after listening to the different reasons that I've shared with you that that isn't the best way to protect you. I didn't even mention making sure you have professional liability insurance. I think the YouTube's um, channel subscriber already knows about that. But take on the other recommendations and considerations. Use that to help protect yourself and leave the video camera or your phone um, face down or in the car when conducting in-person notarizations. I hope you found this information helpful. I'd love for you to become a subscriber to the channel. And if you're not ready to take that important step, go ahead and give it a like or share or a comment. And remember, I like questions, so don't think long about um, posting a question in the comments for me to answer. Finally, if you aren't a member of our Facebook community, I'd love for you to join us. It is called Notaries for Alabama Hangout. That's where notaries from all over the state of Alabama, we hang out together and talk about our experiences as Alabama notaries, ask questions, and get answers from our peers. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.